President, your administration...
Sir, it's a custom that you let the lady go first.
That's a very...
Not to embarrass you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Now, on a very serious note, I would like to ask about your son. Robert just recently joined the war effort. Can you explain why, for so long, your own son did not go to fight in this cause in which you so ardently believed when you sent other family sons to do that job, some of whom will never return to be able to go to college like you?
Did Mary send you? We struggled with that in the Lincoln home. I asked that General Grant find a suitable place for Robert on his staff, that I would pay his salary out of my own personal expenses, if need be. That was too much for Mother to bear, although he did serve and was at an age. But the notion of Mother losing another son was almost too much for her to bear. So I hope you understand my personal predicament by allowing him to serve against her best wishes, but serve he did in a fine capacity. But we still honor those soldiers who went on and gave their lives that this nation might live. Could we go to a lighter note, please? Sir.
Not yet, Mr. President.
I'm not surprised.
Your administration implemented a tax on income to help fund the war. With the war drawing to a close, do you intend to keep that in place? And financially, how is the country doing now after these long years of war?
The country will be fine. The marketing of raw materials from the South will begin to build up the Treasury. The manufacturing, which remained sound through the whole war in the North, remains sound and will continue to manufacture goods. We now can start and maintain diplomatic relationships with England and France and other European countries without being picked at by some unhappy folks who aren't happy with the outcome of the war. So all will be well if we just let the country work instead of scrapping about whether we're going to punish the South or let them come into the Union. We are one union. Let's get on with business. Blanchett, go find somebody from the Treasury Department and get this man an answer. And I'd like to know the answer before you give it to him.
President, in taking on this war to end slavery, you have obviously assumed more power than any other president before you. Do you plan to relinquish that power now? And as a follow-up question, would you take on any Confederate leader or post-Confederate leader as one of your advisors or maybe part of your cabinet down the line in order to bring the South back together into the Union?
Let me answer the second part first. I'm weary of dealing with cabinet members who didn't have the best interest of the administration at heart. I have tolerated their bickering for a term and darn near into a second one. And that's going to stop. And if Jefferson Davis himself approached that door and said, "Mr. President, I will help you in Mississippi," I'd give him the oath myself and shake his hand. That's what we need to be about. But this arguing about what's going to happen with the South, they just need to be let back to come in and do their jobs. General Grant allowed all of those Southerners to maintain their horse and their weapons and sent them back south so they could begin work. Does that sound like a cruel administration to you? I didn't think so. Sir.
President, if we could revisit one of your major initiatives on the Emancipation Proclamation. Some are confused, and some say that you issued that to free the slaves, and others say that you merely were trying to rob the South of needed manpower. Could you clarify that? And if you did, in fact, are going to say that you did it to free the slaves, sir, why did you not apply to the border states of Kentucky, Maryland, and Missouri? And to give you one little bit of a lighter note, the other night at the White House, upon the surrender of General Lee, you asked the band to strike up and play Dixie. Could you maybe, as a lighter note, explain your reasoning for that? It took some people aback.
Dixie is my favorite song. I wanted to hear it since it was ours again. And I thought the crowd that was gathered there at the Executive Mansion appreciated it much like these folks applauded here tonight. So again, it is ours. And on that emancipation question, my answer is yes. But it did one more thing. If we brought it out too early, we would have lost support of the border states, as you so wisely recollected. If we brought it out too late, we would have lost our momentum that we had gained. So to bring it out in January '63 seemed to be the right time, and it also put a chokehold on England and France from coming in to support the Confederacy. So I'd like to think it was a threefold approach, if I could be so bold. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. President, again, with the freeing of the slaves, we have a lot of slaves down south who aren't necessarily now welcomed down there because those folks think they should be slaves. So what are we going to do to help them start a life of their own?
Well, they are free once and for all, thanks to Senator Trumbull. They are free to vote. And I'm sure in their wisdom, they will set legislators in place so that they can adopt policies that helps their specific need in their specific area. The Constitution is whole. They are under the Constitution. And any of you that might be headed back south after this event, you might just remind them what you heard here tonight. They may think they're far away, but we'll be keeping an eye on things just in case.